Hello folks, how are we doing today? Oh, tell you what, it's warm and I've not said that for a very long time. Anyway, as you can probably tell, I've got the big rucksack on, I've got the wild camping gear, and today I'm hopefully heading to a wee bit of a hidden, I think I'm okay saying it's a hidden gem because it's hidden away over the back, and I've had my eye on this location for quite some time. And today just seemed like the perfect opportunity to come and check it out. I've walked past it quite a few times. It's pretty well known. If you do the Munros, you'll know exactly where it is, but it's hidden away around the back of the Munro. So we'll reveal all once we get up and round. But I've got a couple of Munros to climb up before we get to this wild camping location. But I'm looking forward to it. Sun's out, a wee bit breezy, but you know what? I've not got my crampons, I've not got my ice axe, and that's the first time I've been able to say that this year, so the bag's a wee bit lighter. But yeah, let's go, let's get climbing, and I'll report back in a wee while. Woo-wee. So I'm up on the ridge now, and you might be able to see the route behind me, these snow-filled gullies. I'm heading from there round up onto the tops and round the side of those corries and over 2 Munros before heading down. And I'm on the high ridge now, I'm about 750 metres. I tell you what, there's a nice welcome breeze because I was dying coming up there. It was super warm, but I'll talk about the weather and what we've had to deal with so far this year a bit further on, but for now I want to get up and onto those corries and start making my way around. Woo, let's go. Having done the hard initial ascent up onto the ridge, the walking here was just lovely. It was nice, soft, spongy grass with moss, and I was headed for the rim of those corries where some of the winter snows were remaining, clinging high onto the corrie walls. And it was lovely. I wasn't seeing too many people, and the people that I was seeing were mainly heading back down. That's one of the beauties of wild camping, is you're heading up whilst the rest of the world are heading back down, and you can just slow right down, relax and take it all in, especially on a lovely afternoon like it was today. Whew, well, just stopped. There's a lovely wee seat here on this dike that I found, and this dike, or this wall, is going all the way up to the summit of the first Munro. I think that's about 1,100 metres, oh maybe it's 1,000, I can't remember. 1,000, just over 1,000 metres perhaps, Carnacleese. And the sun's out, it's a bit more cloudy over here, but I've stopped here. I'm right above the corrie, with the snow's just behind me here. I'll put some footage up just now of where I am. The views are fantastic. You can see right down, you can see to the hills that I was on last week, but you also get a great view into the main Cairngorm Massif. Yeah, it's not a bad spot. I've stopped here because I'm having something to eat. It's 5 to 5. I've been on the go for probably over 2 hours now, so I was just getting a wee bit hungry, and I've still got another mountain to go over before I drop down to this location, hopefully. But it's lovely. There's not much wind now, and when there is wind, it's coming at the right places on the uphill sections, which is cooling me down slightly. So yeah, I'm going to sit here. There's no rush. I've got probably another 4.5, 5 hours of sunlight, or daylight should I say. Hopefully it's sunlight as well. That would be good. But yeah, I'm going to stay here for a bit and then I'll report back as I'm getting to the summit of the first Munro. What a day though, absolutely gorgeous. So I sat at this wall for a wee while and had a bite to eat, and as I said, there was no rush. It was just nice and relaxing. But I did have to still get over 2 Munros, so I eventually packed up my backpack and saddled it, and I did notice that coming in from the south was some quite menacing looking clouds, and I was keen to get up to the first Munro just in case they caught up with me and they contained any heavy rain showers. So off I set, and I was soon heading towards Munro number 1. It's a bit rocky here. This is the summit, the top of the first Munro, and this one's called Cairn of Cleash. It's not a bad viewpoint from here. It's lovely. Clouds come over now, so the sun's gone away. Anyway, this one's a 1,064 metres, so I wasn't too far off when I was down having my tea. The time is now approaching 5:30, and I've got another Munro to go over before I drop down to the point where I want to wild camp. And we'll see, I might have it to myself. I'm not sure how popular it is for wild camping. I'm hoping that I do, but if there's other people there, there's other people there. I shall soon find out. So, enough talking. Let's get walking and head up to Munro number 2. Ooh, let's go. Those menacing clouds were still looming above me as I left the first top and headed over towards the second Munro of the day. And again, the walking here is really quite nice, and it's nothing too taxing. There's a path that basically runs between the Munros, as you often get between the Munros, and to win and get up the second Munro, not much effort's really required. There's not too much of a dip between the two hills, and certainly there's not much of a steep ascent. And eventually, as I was approaching the summit of the second Munro, the nice spongy grass gave way to rocky terrain, and eventually I reached the rocky summit of the second mountain. Well, here I am on the summit of the second Munro, Carnan Turk, and this is a bit smaller than the other one. It's 1,019 metres, and it's not much of an effort to get here from the was it Cairn of Cleash. There's not too much of a drop and reascent like some of the Munros, so it's quite easily won. But tell you what, the views are fantastic. It's really nice. I'm looking down over Glen Shee, and the walking's quite spongy, nice, soft, nothing too steep, so the walking's really nice across here, but it's pretty much featureless plateau, so you do have to be careful. You have to be careful of the mists in, but it's a wee bit cloudy. These clouds still look a bit threatening, so I'm hoping it's going to stay dry. But I'm going to now turn my attention to my camp spot tonight, and I need to go off the beaten track a wee bit, or off the Munro routes, and drop down to see if I can find it. So that's what I'm going to do now, and I'll probably report back when I've got an idea of how I'm going to go down, because there's no paths, as far as I know, there's no paths on the map anyway. But I think we'll be able to get down to it. So let's go and have a look and see if we can find a nice pitch for tonight. Let's go. It was now time to find my location for camping, and it's not a secret location, it's just hidden away from the top of these plateaus. You sometimes can't see down into this location. Anyway, as I was heading over, I went past this old shieling, and I think I've done a wee bit of research, and it says in some of the research that it was an old shepherd's hut or a shieling, and it's certainly been marked in some of the old maps. So if you've got any ideas what this is, let me know. Yeah. Time for the big reveal. This is where I'm going. Down here, look at that. Isn't that fantastic? So I'm hoping to go down to the Loch and down there. Sorry, I've not got my microphone on, but yeah, camp down there. Doesn't look like there's anybody there at the moment, but what a place. Just wouldn't expect this when you're walking along this high plateau. So anyway, right, shut up, let's get going down. Having gained all the height getting up to the 2 Munros, it was a bit demoralising knowing that I had to drop all the way back down. But I wasn't, that's a lie, I wasn't demoralised at all. I was quite excited. The corrie was looking empty, there was no other people camping, and I made the steep descent down to the black waters of the Loch, hoping that I'd find a nice pitch to set up camp for the night. Once I got down to the Loch, I must have spent about 15 or 20 minutes just
walking around different areas to find the most suitable spot to pitch the tent, and there was no flat billiard-like pieces of grass, and I eventually opted for a spot looking back into the corrie on the shores of the Loch.
Oh, well, what a place! What a place this is, I tell you. It's more, everything and more that I was hoping it would be when I did the research into coming here. It's just an amazing amphitheatre. And you wouldn't expect this when I was walking across the moor between the two Munros there. Sort of, I wouldn't call it boring, but it's certainly not this dramatic corrie which is just kind of scooped into the plateau almost. You don't even see it. You'd have to kind of come over to notice it. If you're doing the Munros, you might walk right past this and not even know it was here. So anyway, this loch in here, it's black. I don't know if it's called, it should be called Loch. It's that black. It's really quite intimidating. And when I was coming down, I was kind of hoping that it would be flat cam so I'd get some reflections. But you know what? When I was coming down that hill, which I'll talk about in a wee while once we get the tent up, I stopped and the wind dropped and the midge came out. So I've got a spot here which is bringing some, well, it's catching a wee bit of breeze coming off the loch here, so hopefully that stays and the midge can stay away as well. So anyway, I'm going to shut up now. I'm going to get the tent up. I'm a bit puzzled. It's taken me 4 hours to get here, but I'll talk about that later on as well. I really need to get this tent up and get some tea. So yeah, let's do that.
Having decided on my pitch, it was into that usual routine of unpacking the big rucksack and getting the tent out and getting up and trying to find the best spot of grass to have the tent on. It can always be a bit tricky when you're wild camping. Very rarely do you get, as I said before, a really flat piece of ground, and certainly the pitch that I got here had a few lumpy turfs of grass, so I was glad that I had my decent sleeping pad which levels it all out and makes it a bit easier to sleep because you can't feel those lumps and bumps below you. Having erected the tent and put the sleeping mat in and my sleeping bag, it was now time to turn my attention to getting some food. And I think I was certainly feeling it. I was needing some energy inside me after all that hiking. And the good thing about these camps being next to the water is you don't have to carry so much water up with you, because there's a nice big water source next to the camp for your coffee and for cooking your food. So that's what I got about doing, was getting my tea on for the evening.
Oh, right, so I have just had my tea. I tell you what, I feel a lot better. I'm actually surprised at how tired I am, because when I was coming round, even up on the second Munro, I actually felt pretty good and I was walking fine. And then coming down to get to the Loch, you have to drop a good, well, I don't know, a couple of 100 metres maybe, and when I got down and took the backpack off, I was knackered. It just hit me all at once. I don't know why, but it has been a longish afternoon, shall we say. It's taken me about 4 hours to get to this point, and there's nobody here. And I think the beauty of this, and one of the reasons why maybe some of you might not have heard of this or seen this corrie before, is because it takes a bit of effort to get to. Certainly, if you are thinking of coming here, that slope is very, very steep and requires a lot of. I wouldn't try that in the winter. Put it that way. And tomorrow I'm going to have a right effort getting back up there because it's steep as heck. There are other ways into this corrie, into this loch, but they all involve a good bit of effort. So. And not much paths. Once I came off the Munros, there was no paths at all. So yeah, pathless and requiring a bit of effort, which makes it all that bit more special, I think. So anyway, what was I going to say? Yeah, I think I've said it. I've had my tea. I've actually had a wee donder up the hill to the other side, just to try and get some. I was trying to get some video footage so I could try and fit it all in. You know, the tent, the loch, the amazing cliffs, but the lens that I've got is not wide enough. I couldn't fit everything in, so I took a few photographs, which I'll stitch together into a panorama. But I had to put them in portrait mode to try and fit everything in. Whether it'll work and I'll get the tent and the loch and the cliffs, I'm not sure, but you'll have seen them by now. I'll have put them up. But what a place! Just absolutely magnificent. It's a shame the sunshine has gone, but I'll talk about that a wee bit more. I'm going to go and chill in the tent. It's about an hour till sunset, and yeah, I'll report back round about sunset. Well, could do something. Oh, there's some deer down there, you don't see them, but anyway, I've come up probably about 50 or 60 metres from the campsite, and it just looks like the sky might turn a nice colour out to the west, northwest over my shoulder here. So I'm just going to hang around up here and see if it does anything. Sun sets in about, let me see, about 10 minutes, 5 minutes, so it's usually the 15-20 minutes after sunset that the cloud usually catches. So let's hang about here and see if we get a nice sunset.
Well, that can sometimes happen. I hung around for a good half an hour and nothing really happened. We got a wee bit of colour way out west, but yeah, the cloud doesn't really catch, so I decided to head back to the tent to get stuck into my whiskey.
Oh, it's lovely. I've had a wee dram, like I usually do. Oh, there's not much left. And my dram tonight was a 12-year-old tomatin. I do like my tomatin. It's rather tasty. Anyway, what's the time? 25 to 11. As I said earlier, we're not far from the longest day of the year, 3 weeks away. And I was going to mention a wee bit about the weather now. The weather this year, in fact, I've only been out on 2 wild camps this year. This is my second one. There's still some to come actually from before lockdown. I don't know when they'll come out, but anyway, that's by the by. And apart from the weather that I got on the last wild camp, where I woke up to a beautiful sunny morning, I don't know if you remember that one, but it was fantastic and quite very, very spring-like, and the weather was great. Apart from that, the weather in the Scottish mountains has been, well, it's been winter. It's been one of these years where the winter goes on and on and on and on and on and on, probably an 8-month winter. We're nearly into June, and in fact, last week, 6 days ago, last Sunday, I was out with the family just a couple of miles from here, just on the other side of the glen, and it was snowing. and there was all these hills here were covered in snow. So it's kind of going on. So anyway, it was nice today to get some of that summer heat and be walking up in my base layer, really, in my gilet. And I'm hoping tomorrow, the forecast is good for tomorrow for the walkout. Anyway, it's almost time to call it a night. I'm going to finish my whiskey, and then I'm not going to set the alarm super early because I'm not up on the summit and getting the far-flung views for a nice sunrise. It'll take a wee while for the sun to rise high enough to light up this magnificent corrie. And when I say it's magnificent, it really is. I've just been listening to the sound of the birds, and there's numerous waterfalls tumbling down these massive cliffs around me. It really feels like this corrie shouldn't be in this part of Scotland. It's very reminiscent. In fact, it's like a small but more impressive corrie fee, if you know where corrie fee is, which isn't too far from here. But anyway, I'm gonna stop rambling now, and yeah, I'll be soon time to turn the lights out, and I'll see if I can get a good night's sleep. I'm not going to set the alarm tomorrow. I'm just going to wake up, take it all in, and then decide what I'm going to do tomorrow. So yeah, I'll see you in the morning. Right, good morning folks, and the time is 7 AM and I've just woken up, so that's really quite a long while for me, and I slept okay. I woke up about 3 o'clock, looked outside, and it was pretty light actually. It doesn't get that dark at this time of year. Anyway, I've woken up and it's a beautiful morning, and how about this for a view? I'm going to spin the camera around and show you my porch view and my morning view before I get up for breakfast. Right, I'll spin you around so you can see. Alright, there we go. How's that for a view? Look at that. It was a stunning, stunning morning, and I eventually pulled myself out of bed and just lingered about the tent and decided that eventually that it was time for some breakfast. And it was just fantastic. As I said, the sounds of the waterfalls and the birds and the wildlife was just added to as I sat and watched herds of deer roam across the steep hillsides. It was just perfect. A perfect camp spot on a perfect morning. Absolutely fantastic. Oh, it's just lovely. I'm actually, just as I've started to piece the camera, they've spotted me. There's a herd of deer just coming over the ridge. And I've sat this morning up on this hillside, which I'm going to have to negotiate. That's going to be an absolute pain in the backside getting up there. Oh, amazing. I'll tell you what, I'll see if I can take a picture of them. Most of them have gone now, so I can show it to you. Let me just see if I can zoom in. So a whole load of them have come up over there. Oh, they've seen me and they're heading off now. There was a lot more a minute ago, but they've smelt me. Anyway, we digress. Yeah, I've sat here this morning, and I don't think, because this isn't a through route, this really has to be your destination if you're coming here, and it's well worth it. Don't get me wrong. But because it's not, there's no paths, and I don't think that many people come up here, so there is lots of wildlife. And God, I'm seeing more of them now. There's hundreds of them. Anyway, I've sat here and I've watched them all. I've seen them moving across the steep hillside, and I've been listening to the birds and the sound of you probably don't hear it, but the sound of the waterfalls. There's loads of waterfalls just running down these steep cliffs, cascading into this big black loch below me. And it's just been wonderful, and I've really needed this. I think that there's a lot to be said about getting outdoors for your mental health as well as your physical health. And yeah, I've just been, you know, my day job's just been, it's just been manic for the last 6 months. I've been absolutely crazy, and you know, I'm so glad that we're allowed to get out and about now after lockdown, because this is just the best therapy for getting away from it all, forgetting your worry. Sorry, I'm still watching this herd of deer. They're watching me as well. They're taking a keen interest in me for sure. But yeah, so there's a bit of a breeze, which is fantastic. You know, I always think when I come to these places, it'll be great if there's no breeze. I think I mentioned this last night for reflections on the Loch, but it keeps the beasties away, and there are beasties about. I can see the tent. It's out. I've left it up to dry in the sun. It's another wee tip for you if you're wild camping and it's sunny in the morning. Just have a leisurely start and let your tent dry off. Just makes it easier when you're taking it out the other end, and reduces any weight from moisture holding on to the tent. But yeah, I'm kind of waffling on now. I'm going to mill about tent for a bit longer, let the tent dry. I've had my breakfast, and you know what, that wind is actually quite a warm wind coming from the south, which is welcome, as I said, after the the never-ending winter that we've had. So yeah, I'm just going to sit here for a bit and watch these chaps watch me. Fantastic.
I must have spent about an hour just watching the herd of deer move across the hillside. It was lovely. But eventually I knew that I had to stop procrastinating, as I had to tackle that steep slope to get back out the corrie. So I started to take the tent down and get all my gear packed away. And I wasn't really rushing again, because I wasn't really looking forward to saddling the rucksack and then expending a lot of energy going back up the hill to get to the rim of the corrie. But yeah, who cares when the weather's like this? It was just absolutely beautiful.
Right, that's me just about done. Oh, the wind's picking up a bit. It's lovely actually. It's going to be a steep pull now. This is going to be a hard bit, heading back up onto the plateau before dropping back down the other side to the car. But yeah, I've tidied everything up. As always, 99% of you that are watching this know the message: leave no trace. All I've left is a few bits of flattened grass. Excuse the language, but don't be a dick and go somewhere and leave all your crap behind. Excuse the language again, but you know, your mum and your dad, they're not going to come and clean it up for you. You have to be responsible. But anyway, that's enough about that. As I said, I'm pretty sure most of you, all of you that are watching this, know that message. Right, so sun is shining, put some sun cream on, and I think I am going to be sweating buckets in about 5 minutes. So let's get this backpack on and get back up onto the high tops. Whew.
So backpack on and all my gear away, I did one last check to make sure there was nothing left behind, and I was soon looking straight at that nemesis, that slope that I was going to have to head up. And you know what, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, because I just took my time. Like I said earlier on, there's no rush when you're wild camping, and I just plodded on at a slow pace to get up the slope, and I had numerous stops where I was casting my gaze back across the corries, and at times I could see herds of deer on the rim on the other side, which was fantastic. So yeah, it wasn't as bad as I thought. Take your time, there's no rush in these things. Anyway, after a good slog, I was soon reaching the top and back onto easier ground, and yeah, I was kind of glad of that, to be honest with you, but I was kind of sad at the same time to be saying goodbye to that dramatic corrie, and I was back on the flattened heath of the plateau. I skirted back round the second Munro that I'd done the night before, and it was lovely walking. I was making sure I was lower down than those rocky scree slopes that surrounded the summit of this mountain. And I was headed to a little hut that's marked on the map. I was keen to see if it was still there, and it made my mind up, because there was a few different options for my way back to the start point. But yeah, I headed down, and all that was remaining of this hut was a pile of stones and a pile of logs and timber.
Well, I came down to this, jumble of stones. It was marked on the map as a building, and it was a building at some point, but not much of it left now. Lots of wood kicking about and bits of metal. So I'm not sure what it used to be. I'll need to look into that when I get back. I'll maybe put something up in the voiceover if I find out what it was used for, or if you guys know, leave it in the comments below. What was this building used for? Is it an old hunting lodge, or an old ski development? Who knows? But anyway, yeah, I had a wee Brucey bonus there. I remembered I had a sandwich that I'd bought for yesterday, and I forgot about it yesterday, and it's just gone down in about 2 gulps there. It was, I've still got some chocolate, but yeah, a wee chicken mayonnaise sandwich, which I wasn't expecting, is perked up my mood, shall we say. Anyway, there was 2 possible routes down. I was going to take one route over this hill here, which is called, I think it's called Carndoo, to head directly down to the car, but as I've come to this, it's a wasp. As I've come to this building, there's a path that runs from this building to the main sort of Munro Baggers path, which will take me down to the initial car park. So I'm going to head down that way, but I'm in no rush on a day like today. As I said, first real taste of summer, and it's lovely just looking over to the Cairngorms. They're still snow-capped, still a fair bit of snow up there. I think that'll linger well into the summer months for sure. Lovely. I don't think I'm going to do many more bits to camera, so I'll probably end the video here. So thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and I'll see you in the next adventure.
So all that was left to do was saddle my backpack at this hut, and I did do a bit of research, and this hut used to be a ski hut built by the Aberdeen Ski Society. I don't know if they were called that in the 1950s, but it's long since gone into ruin, unfortunately. But anyway, there's some information for you. I was almost back at the car. What a fabulous, fabulous wild camping adventure I'd had.